Red Bull has ruled out Daniel Ricciardo driving alongside Max Verstappen in a Red Bull in 2024. This comes as a shock for the Australian, as he thought he was the perfect fit to replace the underperforming Sergio Perez. After all, Daniel returned to the Red Bull family with only one goal: drive in a Red Bull. However, there's more to this story, as the Aussie seems to be out of luck and a drive altogether in 2025. Can things get any worse for the Aussie? Especially after his recent uplifting results. A day after the Belgian Grand Prix, the Red Bull team announced that they will not make any changes to their driver lineup in the short future, leaving Daniel hanging as he hoped to get a chance in the second part of the season. The Formula One rumours mill went into overdrive after 35-year-old Ricciardo was caught conversing with Red Bull chief Christian Horner last weekend at Spa. He was seen having a lengthy talk with Horner and his VCARB colleague Laurent Mekies at Spa. The chat appeared to be very friendly and happy, and it concluded with a friendly handshake between him and Horner before the Australian hopped away with a smile on his face. Only adding further fuel to the fire was a video posted by Verstappen, in which he left Spa in a helicopter with Ricciardo. Unfortunately, it was all show, as Red Bull will keep Perez for the time being. It's not the news the Australian was hoping for, as he prepares to face rising New Zealand talent Liam Lawson. The young driver has been linked to the Visa Cash App RB squad and was even mentioned as a possible replacement for Perez. The two are scheduled to drive a 2022 spec AlphaTauri AT03 in Imola in what is considered to be a test to put them against one another. Red Bull chief advisor Helmut Marko stated in June that senior Red Bull leaders want Lawson. "The shareholders have made it clear that it is a junior team and we have to act accordingly," he said. "We will have to put a young driver in there soon. That would be Liam Lawson." If Lawson performs, and the team chooses to go with him from 2025 onwards, the Australians' options are likely restricted to continuing at VCARB or no seat at all. What are your thoughts on that? Will we see Ricciardo still driving in F1 in 2025? The rumour mill was effectively shut down on Monday when team principal Christian Horner and Red Bull racing advisor Helmut Marko met to assess Perez's form, among other things. Checo remains a Red Bull racing driver despite recent speculation, and we look forward to seeing him perform at tracks he has previously excelled at after the summer break, Horner said in a statement. It has come during a time where Perez is experiencing his worst run of form since joining Red Bull, with an acceptable 103 points in the first 6 races followed by a disastrous 28 in the past 8. This form led to all the rumours. He was granted a contract extension until 2025 this year, but with termination options that Red Bull might use to get him out of the seat immediately. And this prospect became a hot subject as Perez's form plummeted further. While Perez's record has dipped as Red Bull has been dragged down by its competitors, Max Verstappen's Drivers' Championship lead has remained intact and even strengthened. But Red Bull's Constructors' title chase, which once appeared to be a foregone conclusion, is now in severe risk. And due to this, many thought Red Bull would make a change to the drivers' lineup, but apparently they either don't care about the Constructors' Championship. After all, they're a soft drink business, and F1 is one of their biggest means of marketing. Or they feel Perez will be able to find his form again. During Perez's downfall, McLaren has cut Red Bull's lead back to 42 points and has been outscoring Red Bull by more than 9 points each race on average since Miami in early May, implying that on existing pace, Red Bull will lose the title battle. Perez has shown signs of improving form recently, with a solid recovery effort to 7th in Hungary, although one accompanied by a terrible Q1 error, and a front-row start in tricky qualifying circumstances in Belgium. However, despite appearing to have gained confidence in the RB20 as a result of the Hungary upgrade, with Perez receiving a portion of the whole package, he has yet to put together a complete weekend to satisfy Red Bull. After his slump to 8th on the road, 7th after George Russell's disqualification, at Spa, team boss Christian Horner struggled to conceal his disappointment at the result. However, he also stated that nobody wants to make that decision of replacing Perez and that the squad is behind him to assist him regain form. Perez, for his part, remained stubborn in the face of continuous doubts about his immediate future, stating he would no longer answer them because he had previously repeatedly said that he was confident he would maintain his seat. That faith has shown to be well-founded. So it will be surprising if Sergio Perez does not race for Red Bull when the Formula One season continues at the Dutch Grand Prix. But might this sign of faith be temporary? In addition to not being formally announced and certainly not stating that it will be for the remainder of the season, Horner has mentioned watching Perez perform at tracks where he has previously excelled. This might refer to Baku and Singapore, 2 tracks where he has won 3 of his 5 Red Bull races, which are currently back-to-back due to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix being held later. They follow the season's final European races in Zandvoort, the first race after the summer break, and Monza, with an unusual autumn gap following Singapore. It appears that the decision was made to postpone the ultimate decision. Red Bull does not wish to replace Perez. It wants him to regain the form he shown early in 2024, when Red Bull still had a car advantage and appeared to be in a better working window. The fact that this has changed is extrapolated by rivals and even hinted at by Red Bull's drivers as evidence that season-long modifications have not sufficiently improved the car. The situation appeared bleak when Perez lost his opportunity to demonstrate his ability to be a strong support act for Max Verstappen in Belgium, the final race before the meeting between Horner and Marco, who said Perez completely collapsed in the Grand Prix. Despite this, Perez was more than just dismissive of the talk following the race in Spa. He reaffirmed his optimism that he will remain in his position and reiterated earlier remarks that he is under more scrutiny than other drivers for underperformance, that Red Bull has other issues to address, and that we cannot waste any energy with all this speculation. To be fair, Verstappen has stated that his teammate is not Red Bull's biggest challenge right now because the team is having problems with its car and faces a threat from McLaren. Perez also stated at Spa that he would not answer any further queries regarding his future. The news that he is remaining will strengthen that position, but it's important to note that the potential of him being dropped is not a fabricated story. His own squad is encouraging such speculation by considering a mid-season move in the first place, and stating so both publicly and privately. Furthermore, throughout the previous 8 races, Perez has lagged well behind the other drivers in the top 4 teams. So, certainly, he is under unusual scrutiny because he is underperforming. Points in the last 8 Grand Prix: Max Verstappen, 141, Oscar Piastri, 126, Lewis Hamilton, 123, Lando Norris, 116, Charles Leclerc, 79, Carlos Sainz, 79, George Russell, 79, Sergio Perez, 28. Though it is difficult to understand how this level of performance can be allowed, considering that it jeopardizes Red Bull's title, pulling the trigger is a significant choice, even ignoring any potential economic repercussions. But as said before, perhaps Perez brings in more sponsor money than other drivers, and Red Bull just sees F1 as marketing. But they'll never acknowledge even one of these thoughts. But back Perez, and one of these 2 things will happen. Red Bull will either stagger over the line, clinging to the lead, with the occasional Perez highlight sufficient, or it will be quickly overrun, with Perez being the cause. However, without Perez, there is no certainty of improvement. But maybe giving Perez 4 more races, including the 2 street circuits, is his last chance to reclaim that form. The enormity of the McLaren danger will also become obvious by then. Could Red Bull get away with waiting for a bit longer? It might provide Perez with the push he requires, a demonstration of trust in the face of recent speculation, an opportunity for Perez to show his worth. Or it might backfire. The decline might continue. Red Bull may lose control of the title fight totally, leaving little time to react. However, Red Bull is, in some ways, taking the praiseworthy position that doing right by its driver will eventually lead to doing right by the team. This is something we haven't always seen over at Red Bull. Now, Perez has to repay this trust with some good results. But with Perez staying, it seems to be the end of Ricciardo in F1, don't you think? What are your thoughts on this news? Have we seen the best of the Honey Badger, and will Red Bull be able to hold on to the Constructors' Championship with Perez in the second half of the season?